G'day fellas, and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4 today. We're on Lipany once again, and we've got a fun matchup. I love this matchup, but I hate this matchup, and I love it because I hate it. Let's get into it and introduce our players. Ladies and gentlemen, on the south side of the map, in the color orange, playing as the Chinese, is Time Is Not On My Side, also known as our Chinese friend. And in the north of the map, in the color purple, playing as the Holy Roman Empire, he's back once again, representing Team Liquid. It's Demu. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lipany. A pleasure to have your company. Let's do a quick check, a lay of the land check, if you will. And to be honest, I don't know if this really favors anybody. I think this is quite a neutral spawn for these cliffs. Sometimes you can get really good spawns, and sometimes not so much. And I think, if anything, this is pretty middle of the range. I think realistically, both guys are going to be happy with this kind of spawn. Now, let's talk a little bit about this matchup. But before we do, if you're enjoying this content, please go ahead, leave a like on the video. It really helps out with the traction. Subscribe if you haven't already, but I mean, by this time, you've probably already subscribed. And notification bell, I don't know really what that does. I just, when it comes to YouTube, like for me, the way that I use it, I kind of get sucked into it. I don't know, maybe you guys are the same, but like, I'll open it up and then my recommendations or like your homepage, it just pops up and it's like, it's a video. I don't really use the subscriber feed. I see a video and I'll just be like, ooh. Everything before that you've forgotten. You've forgotten what you were going to search for, what you were going to look up, because there's a new video from, I don't know, I've been getting into Fern lately. I don't know if you guys know Fern. He is, I think he's German. I think it's actually a combination of blokes that working together, but yeah, they do some really, really cool stuff. And yeah, I've just been, you know, new video from Fern, boom, there it is. You know, whatever it is that we were going to do before then, who knows? Let's talk a little bit about this matchup, though. Chinese, Holy Roman Empire. This is a matchup that has shifted in the last patch, and that's because of professional scouts. Now, the question is going to be about whether we see that today. Traditionally, in this matchup, one of the Chinese strategies was that you would go 2TC Song Dynasty. Okay, and this was because that's what you did in every matchup, but we started changing it up, and the reason why was because if you do that against the Holy Roman Empire, they will beat you every step of the way. If you go 2TC into Song Dynasty, you're going to be too far behind. They're going to hit Castle Age, they're going to get the relics, and even if you try and make a lot of units in the Feudal Age, they're still just going to be able to defend it. They'll get to Imperial Age, they'll make a whole bunch of vills, and they'll catch up to your 2TC Song with their Swabia, and then they'll eventually just beat you down because they've got all 5 of the relics. So hopefully what we see today is a little bit of a blend away from that, maybe a movement into one base. Professional scouts definitely seems to be the flavor of the season, the seasonal flavor, if you could say that. And I'm curious on the side of Demu what we're going to be seeing, because one of the things that I've noticed, now I don't know if this is just exclusively with the Holy Roman Empire, but we kind of saw this weird thing where players go for professional scouts, but it hurts them. Because you got to understand, like, what's the reason we're going professional scouts? We're going professional scouts to secure our own deer, and there's always the optional to deny the deer from the enemy, or to rather to take the enemy's deer. And often it's one of those things where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because, well, not damned if you do, but damned if you don't, but you do it because your enemy's doing it, so you have to do it as well, because if they do it and you don't, then they steal your deer. So it's one of those things where you've very much got to be aware of what the enemy is up to. And that delays your Castle Age. And if you delay your Castle Age, then you delay picking up relics. And if you delay picking up relics, well, that's a core component of your game that is going to be thrown out. Now, one thing to note with Demo at the moment, he's only got the 3 vills on gold, which is kind of standard for a normal Castle Age timing. So he could just be looking to go a naked fast castle here. Let's check and see what he spots out on the enemy side, because the age up has come through. Archon in the back of the base. Pretty good Archon, actually. Gold. Gets the front of the wood line in the back of the TC. And, I mean, you'll be happy with that. Probably about a 7 out of 10. I mean, that's probably the best you could ask for. I don't see how you'd really get it better than that. That is, yeah, that's pixel perfect placement right there. But Demi around the back of the base, just going to be doing a bit of spotting on the sheep. Now, interestingly, doesn't look towards the base of the Chinese player. Doesn't look to try and find out a bit more information. It looks like for this game, our Chinese player will be going into an early Song. A lot of vills still on food here. Now, where does he put the Barbican down? Because you could go for somewhere central. I wouldn't like that. I think if you're going to go Barbican, you probably... Okay, there's the There's your answer, folks. I would have moved it maybe a little bit over towards this side to see if you can block this relic. But even then, I mean, they've got the stealth forest. They're probably going to try and sneak it out that way. But now we've got that age up coming through. It's going to be the Imperial Academy. A couple of Imperial Imperial, what are these guys called? Imperial officials. I was going to call them Imperial guards. I'm like, no. Imperial officers? No. Imperial officials. You know, sometimes the brain doesn't always work properly. But Scout on the other side, I'm really ideally want to check in with Demo, because Demo's got no idea what his enemy is up to at this stage. We do see Wheelbarrow comes through, but he doesn't look to go into professional scouts. Instead, going to open with a Rax here and going to send out a couple men at arms. So looking to potentially deny, does he know too much about the lay of the land for his opponent? It doesn't look like it. He knows where the gold roughly is, or in fact, he knows exactly where it is. And that Barbican will obviously deny out this position. But one thing to note is we are heavy on the stone. So it is going to be a 2 TC play coming out from the Chinese player. Now this is, you know, if I was coaching right now, and let me be clear, I haven't coached for a while. We've still got the Patreon up. You can go check out our old coaching content, but I don't actively coach anymore. We got rid of that tier. Who knows? It might come back in the future. Maybe if you know, maybe when the expansion comes out, we can bring back coaching and get some more coaching content going. But one of the things I would say is, when you're playing against the Holy Roman Empire as the Chinese, you got to mix it up, man. You got to mix it up. You can't play status quo. You can't play standard, because the Holy Roman Empire is absolutely going to tear you a new one. So you need to be very cautious about how you play, and you definitely can't go for that standard greed. If you do, you're going to be punished. Let's see exactly how he looks to play it out and whether time will be on his side this game. Checking back in with Demu, though. It looks like he's very close to that age up. Not the fastest age up. Obviously, you open up with a Rax here, and you're naturally going to be slightly slower than what you would be if you hadn't gone for it. But interestingly, Men-at-Arms going to be spotting at the back. Did we just see a TC drop right there? Yeah, we did. You can tell from the way that the land changes. This is always a giveaway for things like keeps as well, so you can move units into position a little bit earlier. Now, the question is, what's the follow-up here on the side of our Chinese player? Because normally in this situation, the answer is like a Castle Age. But the problem is, if you go direct Castle Age into this, you're just going to be behind in Relics, right? Like, you're never going to be able to contest them in Relics. So you basically got to play a game where you've got no Relics. They've got all 5 Relics, so they get a very happy game. I mean, at most, you're getting maybe 1 Relic. But normally in this situation, they'll send all their units down to this Relic. They'll take all the 4 Relics behind it, and then they'll secure this with their units. So they will get 5. And we do see the Regnants now getting thrown down on the other side of the map. Demo at the moment with the 1 Prelate out, 1 Prelate in queue as well. So looking to do a little bit of transitional stuff here. I'd be moving this Prelate out of the Archon right now. I'd be getting him out onto the map. But I don't think Relics are going to be too hotly contested. He knows about the second town center. So he knows that he's got some time here before he actually has to be securing this Relic. It's not like he's up against the Delhi Sultanate. It's not like these Relics are going to be off the table in a short period of time. He is okay, at least for the moment. So he's happy to keep these Vills back here. A lot of Vills still on gold at the moment. Regnants is going to pop, and he's going to be most likely just clicking that Prelate button. Now we do actually spot out these Men-at-Arms breaking through. Vil heading towards this wall. Will try and finish it off. He manages to get... Oh, wow. Imagine if that Vil survives. Imagine all the hit points. You hate to see it. You really do. You really do, but well played. Well played to our Chinese friend. Rax coming up. Hold on. Have we got what I think we might have? Okay. Interesting play. Now... there's actually a world where the strategy that he's going for works. It's a bit of a weird one, though. So one of the things that you can kind of do with the Chinese, I did test this out against the Holy Roman Empire multiple times. So you go 2 TC, you stay in feudal, and the idea is that you want to try and control relics with units. Now, our Chinese friend's been a little bit slow with getting the TC up and getting everything on board. But ideally what he wants to do is look to get spears and Jukunu out onto the relics in the center of the map as quickly as he can. He's not trying to deny the relics completely. He's just trying to delay the relics. And the idea is that you delay the relics from being picked up as much as you can, and then you just want to zoom straight to fast Imperial. It's more of an advanced strategy. So I don't know if we're going to see it today. Probably not. But the idea is that you want to go straight into... so normally you'd go into about 50, 60 Jukunu, enough to one-shot a Men-at-Arms, and then you go straight to Imperial and you pick up all the upgrades along the way. So veterancy, +2, ranged attack. Then as soon as you hit Imperial, elite Jukunu, +3, incendiary arrows, all the big upgrades for your Jukunu. Try and get them through. And then you can kind of push with this really nice tempo that's built with the army, because the Zhukennu are weird, right? They're good in the feudal age, good in the imperial age, not so good in the castle age. So it's one of those weird, awkward things where you just kind of just bypass it, just because you're able to get all of those upgrades through. But hold on, yeah, Demu knows about this. I don't know what the play was. I guess he was just looking to try and snag this one away. The Zhukennu are going to shut it down, and we do now start to see more and more units on the map. One thing to notice, now that your enemy is in the castle age, there is the threat of knights. So we need to start moving into spears as well. Even just one racks of spears is fine the way that he's got it at the moment, but you can see a large number of Zhukennu, but ideally you just want to be keeping tabs on the enemy as well, and he does exactly that. Look at this response. Now, I suspect that this scout did actually see this double stable coming down in the back of the base, so there could be a response. Maybe just an Imperial official moves over to the racks. One thing to note, I don't think we've got professional scouts in at this point. No, we don't. No professional scouts in. In fact, I don't think we've got it for either player. No, we don't have it for either player. So this is one of the first things to go in this situation, because you're up against, you're up against knights. Now, relics have been secured. Demu's got 2+2, which is very, very nice. So I would say that from the Chinese perspective, maybe he's got to just work on that little opening a bit right here. Make sure that that everything is crisp, because if I remember correctly, you should be looking at that second TC and the Song Dynasty at about 605. That's pretty much the fastest you can do it. Whereas I think I'd have to double check the time, but I don't think it was that early that we had it. Meanwhile, the numbers are building here, and still quite a bit of units in production. Doesn't look like there is any tilt towards that castle age. He's got a fair bit of gold in the back. No blacksmith just yet. It is coming through now. So one of the other things to note is I would typically avoid looking to commit to a fight here. You never really want to commit to a fight against the Holy Roman Empire, just mainly because the cannon emplacement. That's the biggest threat that you've got, that cannon emplacement. But have a look at what Demu's doing. He's got the 4 stables in the back. I don't know what this is all about, what the plan is. Is he potentially scared of a snipe? It could be the case. He does have the scout out, and he sees quite a bit of units here, but to be honest, like, this kind of units, you do have to be careful of the battering rams. But once again, it's one of those things where if you just go straight imp, get the cannon emplacement. So ideally, you want that outpost behind the back here. Get the cannon emplacement on it. He does already have the relic in the outpost. This isn't a terrible position for it either. Normally you'd look for something a little bit closer, a little bit more central that's going to cover the front, because if you lose Regnitz Cathedral, it could be really bad, because remember, when you do lose the Regnitz, you do lose that bonus gold generation. So that's one thing to note, and it's not just from the relics being dropped on the ground, it's the actual relics themselves stop producing that bonus gold until you rebuild. So something that you always need to be cautious of. But the numbers now for our Chinese player are really starting to build up. We do see Demu's taken 2 of the sacred sites. He was looking for a 3rd one. It's going to be shut down for the moment. And Demu looking like he's going to be hitting the Imperial Age triple archery range. Going to get thrown down on the backside as well. So maybe thinking about hand cannoneers. Always a little bit curious when you're up against these kind of units where they're not as healthy as, say, units like a Knight or a Man-at-Arms or a Palace Guard. The hand cannoneers obviously excel in that situation, but it is going to be +1 ranged attack, so could just be instead thinking, you know what, we're just going to go a whole bunch of archers here. Now, keep in mind that for his archers, he will be Imperial Age, he'll have access to a lot of good technology there, so that's something to keep in mind. But now the transition to farms comes through behind this. Okay, all right, I'm liking this. We are seeing some good development here. As I said, like earlier, my biggest concern here is that Demu's just kind of come through, picked up all the relics, and he's just translating all that gold into tech, right? Like going straight for that Swabia. Beautiful placement here as well. It's got plenty of wood on this back line. So this is going to be an absolutely perfect Swabia. And you can see there's a 30 vil deficit at the moment, but Demu will catch up. It's going to take time, but ideally they should hit about 130 vils about around the same time. Maybe the Chinese player a little bit earlier than that, but there is a tempo advantage right now that the Chinese could look to take advantage of. The one biggest problem that they've got is that despite that vil difference, there are still relics that are making up the count. So if you think about, a relic is producing 160 gold a minute. A vil on gold produces about 40 gold a minute with no upgrades. If you've got your wheelbarrow, if you've got your specialized pick, then that's going to be a little bit higher, normally about 46, 49, somewhere in that region. But for the purpose of this exercise, we'll call it 4 vils. So this is representative of 4 vils. You've got 4 relics, that's 16 vils. So realistically, the difference between these two players is not as big as it seems, maybe about 20 vils at most. And now the Swabia comes down. You've got 3 vils in queue. He'll be looking to make him out of the town center as well, trying to catch up as much as he can. Scouts are out on the map. map. Demo, of course, going to be spotting out this big army. We expect to see veterancy coming through for both of these units immediately. One of the things I would love to see from our Chinese player is straight into the Imperial Age, straight for +3, straight for elite Zhuge-Nu, and then you can actually transform these Zhuge-Nu into some powerhouses, because in the Castle Age, they're not that effective. If we take a look at the army, you'll see 5 armor on the men-at-arms. At the moment, the Zhuge-Nu have got 5 damage. And we see here, veterancy will take them through to 6, +2 will take them through to 7, but still, once +2 ranged armor comes through on the side of Demu, then it means, oh, we can actually see it is through right now. There it is. They're up to 6 armor, so once again, they're back down to 1 damage, those Zhuge-Nu. But once you get to Imperial, that's when things really get different. Well, speaking of Imperial, it looks like Demu is going to be positioning himself for a keep. Now, when it comes to likely keep positions, he could go for something defensive, but I would suspect, judging by the fact we've got a Castle Age here, he could look to go something a bit more aggressive. So this is quite a neutral position here. I don't know if he'd be so tempted to come all the way down here and throw a keep down, but this is not a terrible spot either. It does secure the stone at the back, so he could look to try and convert on that. We'll switch it over to income per minute. We're at 15 minutes through this game now. Let's get an idea on where these two players are up. We haven't had too much major construction in the last minute. Veterancy's coming through. Look at this. He's doing it. He's doing it. He knows the trick. He knows the trick. Okay, okay. All right, my legs are going up. I'm going to take a swig of the water. I do have a backup Red Bull, but it's the same one from the last casted game, so it's a little bit warm at this point. Hold on, let me try it. It's room temperature. Ah, man. Is there anything worse? Somehow, like, a room temperature Red Bull is so much worse than room temperature water. What's the deal with that? What's the deal with that? All right, give me a sec. I got some water here. It's got ice in it. This is the S+ tier one. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. My teeth are like, they're a little bit like, oi. Whoa, that's a bit too cold. We're sensitive over here. All right, now keep in mind, Demu does have all that stone in the bank. We're yet to see... Oh, no, it's cannon emplacements. It's cannon emplacements everywhere. Oh, Demu, he knows exactly what's up. I'm so glad that we're seeing this, because so many damn games I'm watching the Holy Roman Empire, and they're not making enough cannon emplacements. So thank you, Demu. Thank you very much. This is exactly what you needed. Beautiful, beautiful opening right here from Demu. Just guarantees this positioning, guarantees this economy. One thing to note is this relic is still out. Now, he could look to throw it in a pagoda, but I would suspect it's unlikely at this stage for him to do that. I would definitely be tempted to move into a monastery, though, just to secure it. It's such a great return on investment. He actually has done that. You see the monastery right there. So really well played by our Chinese player. So far, so good. He should be looking to go Imperial Age. I think you could look to go... Nah, I think Imperial Age, you want a stone wall across here, like that, and then that's where you put your Golden Gate Bridge. That's where you put your Golden Gate Bridge. Your Great Wall Gatehouse. He's going to opt for the middle. Interesting position is definitely... Oh, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't see any world where you're kind of baiting your enemy into fight over this, and it doesn't really secure much, right? Like, you got to think about, what are we securing with this? Like, okay, you're securing the sacred site, you secure the stone, but, I mean, a stone wall across the front could have done that. You go ahead and throw it down here, and you're securing this gold vein. You're leveraging this position. You're saying, I dare you to challenge me onto this. So I think that's a little bit of a better position. Meanwhile, for Demu, we're right on board with him as his enemy looks to age up with the Great Wall Gatehouse. Big farm economy coming through. Where is the... Oh, there's the Archon. I thought it was a second TC. I was like, where is the Archon? No, that's not a second TC. That is just the Archon Chapel. Age up now going to be coming through on the other side of the map for our Chinese player. Interestingly, you don't get to see that cute little golden animation that sometimes happens, and now the numbers are really going to start to build. So what we want to see in this position is not cross-cut saw. We want to see +2. We don't actually have +2. We want to see +2. We want to see +3. We want to see our elite Zhuge-Nu upgrade. That's elite crossbow drongo. We want to see our elite Zhuge-Nu upgrade. And we want to see incendiary arrows all coming through at the same time. And with that, you can really look to mount a strong push. The trouble will always be, though, with this cannon emplacement outposts. You can see they've got 11.4 tiles of range. Difficult to deal with, but Demu gets shut down in the middle of the map. He says, no, sorry, Bob. Ain't no way you're coming through here. And it's been a quiet early game so far. We haven't lost a whole lot of units yet. It has been a bit of a build-up in the early game, but it definitely feels like players have been moving almost chess-like towards each other. You know, one of the things when it comes to chess, and now I don't know a whole lot about chess, but one thing I do know is that it's not always about taking the enemy's pieces. It can be about building the board and the strength of the board and getting your own pieces developing those more key pieces. And I feel like that's what we've witnessed here today, as both players have been developing. And if anything, I almost feel like our Chinese player has gotten through to the late game unscathed at this stage. The only part where he may come undone is that when it comes to possession of the relics, he's down 4-2, rather 4-1. I was going to say 3-2, then I changed it to 4-2. Then I was like, hold on a minute, that's not going to work. 4-1. Veteran Spears coming out. No elite upgrades through just yet. He's moving into Pyrotechnics. Interesting decision with all of these Zhuge on the field. In fact, he's only got 29. It's not a huge amount, to be honest. Normally, you'd be looking at like 50, 60 and then going for the push. That was quite a common strategy that we saw back in the day on Hill and Dale, where you'd play 2TC Song Dynasty, whole bunch of Zhuge, and then you would just look to push out around the 20-minute mark. And normally it was a whole bunch of bombards and elite Zhuge. And the good thing about elite Zhuge is they absolutely melt horsemen. It's not even close how much damage they do to them. It becomes quite difficult to react from the Holy Roman Empire perspective. But now, Demu, 168 pop against the Chinese, who's at 195. See some pressure down here on the Palisade Gate in the south. We're right on board with our Chinese player. He's also got the Imperial Palace in the back of the base. He will undoubtedly spot this one out. Stone walls now going to be thrown up to try and prevent this from happening again, but in the meantime, he's going to have to deal with the horsemen as they break their way through onto that stone outcropping. Meanwhile, towards the top side, single nest of bees. Palace guards now going to be looking to chase down the enemy archers. And the sacred site is being slowly captured here by Demu. Veteran Zhuge, no elite upgrades for them. He's just going to sack them. And now we see an emergency keep thrown up. I say emergency, but I tell you what, it's going to be up well and truly in time here, as all of these horsemen underneath the keep now face the wrath of that Chinese keep. And you can see how much damage gets done here. I honestly love the way that they changed the keep. It used to be really strong damage, but a lot less often. Now it's like strong damage all the time. Chinese keep is definitely one of the best keeps. In fact, I think it is objectively the best keep in the game. I mean, maybe if you were to include the unique text that some other keeps get, like the Holy Roman Empire keep is definitely objectively an insanely good keep. You can get a lot of fire armor on that bad boy. You got things like emergency repairs as well. But I mean, maybe we're just looking at. We're still looking at keeps. We're still looking at keeps. All right, so at this stage of the game, Demu holds an advantage. He holds a military advantage, a positional advantage, an economic advantage when we consider the relics. He's picked up Tithe Barns, I would suspect, indeed he has. There's no mistaking it. He has got plenty of resources on the way through. Now a couple more units here for our Chinese player as the horsemen make their way through. He's put that stone wall on the edge of the map, but yet to secure it. Meanwhile, towards the north, we do see more stone walls coming in. Nice little positioning that he's got here. Keep as well going to assist, but Vil's going to get taken out. He takes out 3 in this little engagement. Look, when you've got 132 Vils, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Astronomical clock tower going to get thrown down. Moving into the Yuan dynasty. So we could potentially see some Fire Lancers out now. Now, Fire Lancers are notoriously difficult to deal with. Demu says, hey, just because you're going into that clock tower, I think it's time for some stone walls. And it's definitely the right call. It's going to reduce the amount of avenues you can be attacked by those Fire Lancers. Culverin on the front here could get taken out with the Palace Guards. There's plenty of Palace Guards in the rear. We're right on board now, as the hand cannoneer numbers are starting to build also. They've got the Yuan dynasty for that extra movement speed, together with that pyrotechnics. So extra movement speed, extra range on them. A powerful combo. And now the question's going to be about whether our Chinese player moves into the ultimate Chinese composition, which is hand cannoneers, Palace Guards, and Nest of Bees. One of the units that is definitely beginning to take over in this season is the Nest of Bees and the Mangonel. Both very, very strong units in the late game. I think for me, the Nest of Bees was always second to the Mangonel, and until I saw that one game, I think it was at the Puppy Paw game. Dude, that was crazy. The Nest of Bees, I had no respect for them in the Imperial Age until that game, and then I quickly learned to change my tune because the Nest of Bee, well, it's more than just a knob, we'll tell you that much. All right, well, more stone walls going to start coming up here for our Chinese player. You can see these walls actually... Oh, take it back. These are not for the Chinese player. These are stone walls for Demu. Demu going to be going ham with the walls here. He has opened up he's turned a new leaf in the book, that is for sure. After playing a couple of games and not making a single wall, he has absolutely changed his tune. Beautiful wall towards that north side. Definitely a bit more reasonable We did watch that Malian game where he went for a bit of a crazy wall. A lot harder to defend a wall like that, whereas a wall like this, quite close to the base. Very, very easy to defend this one. Keep now going to be thrown up for Demu on the backside. I still don't know about these walls. These are a bit more proactive on the wall in front. Demu in a little bit of trouble here. Have a look at this. Culverin number's still decent, and he's got vills that he can pull from nearby. But the hand cannoneers, together with the couple of crossbows on the back here, just slicing through everything. And now the now the Palace Guards, rather, make their way onto that back line. Hand cannoneer is going to start firing towards them. Let's see if they're able to do decent damage. They are indeed shredding through. He's going to be careful, though, because the keep is now online, and you will lose that tempo advantage, and indeed, he's forced back away from it. At the moment, Vil count, 132 versus 116. When it comes to the military count, slight advantage for Demu at the moment because he's got all that siege out on the map. Keep in mind, these Culverin are like your bombards, essentially. They're the unique bombards. Though I do think the bombard might actually be better than the Culverin. Because if I remember correctly, the Culverin have got a faster attack rate, but lower damage. And that just, like, at the damage point that they've got, it works out really badly. Because it means that a lot of units just, they're not getting the damage that they should be getting. We've seen those games where the knight, like, cops hits from, like, 7 Culverin, and it does, like, a quarter of its health. And it's like, what the hell, man? It's just the way it is. All right, well, the hand cannoneer mass is yet to fall. Don't be surprised if you see Demu move into something a little bit more Mangonel orientated. Adjustable crossbars not yet through. Hand cannoneer is going to continue falling back. Front line here a little bit open for our Chinese player. If we have a look at the economies at the moment, huge amount of economy. 4.4k, 6.8k. 7.2k resources a minute. Absolute insane economy. Meanwhile, on the side of Demu, 2.6, 3.2, 5k, around 5.2k for Demu. So our Chinese player is about 2,000 resources up per minute on Demu at this stage of the game, and that is just the power of the Chinese economy. He's got almost all of the upgrades, with the exception of precision crossbreeding. Not quite in just yet. One of the most powerful upgrades for the Chinese. Important that it comes in sooner rather than later. Beautiful farming economy behind this, by the way. Have a look at this. Just absolutely huge amount of farms. Traders already out? Traders already out? Get out of town. It's a beautiful trade post as well. This is a huge trade route. This is one of the best you will ever see in a 1v1 game. 73 gold. Beautiful little angle, not all the way in the corner as well. Wonderfully positioned, and well done by our Chinese player to recognize that. Interesting little, I don't know what's going on here. It's berry bushes. We've got some berry bush walls that have come through. And now towards the front, I mean, Demu's had and held this sort of Culverin mass for quite some time now. So I'm going to say I'm impressed with the way that Demu's managed to keep this alive. But at the same time, from the side of his opponent, a little bit disappointed, because I feel like you probably should have been able to take these out. But I guess that's just, you know, that gives credit to the control that Demu's got when it comes to his units. And the fact that he's able to keep them alive and always keep them balanced. Interesting keep position. I disagree with this one. Just going to throw that out there right now. I don't see what this achieves. What does this achieve that this doesn't achieve? I mean, maybe denies the sacred site. Is that what you would like? You could have just brought a Vil up here. He would have done the work for you, buddy. I guess in that regard, it does kind of like, okay, it's a decent amount of gold every minute trickling in. Sure, we'll take it. We'll take it. Elite horsemen. Now putting pressure on the front. Are they fire lancers? No, they're not. They're horsemen. It's always hard to tell the difference between a fire lancer and a horseman. Probably need a bit more. You know, the Zhukunu and the crossbow are very hard to tell the difference between. It's the same for the fire lancer and the horseman. I think the only difference is their weapon. You can kind of tell. It's kind of like the horseman and Jean's riders. You can see the weapon's different, but that's an obvious weapon difference. But now, beginning to enter the back of the base. Astronomical clock tower is going to get spotted out here. One thing to note, though, is that the Ming Dynasty has been buffed up recently. When I say recently, I don't remember if it was Season 9 or Season 8, but the Ming Dynasty has been buffed. It's a bit stronger than what it used to be. And there's a world where you actually move into the Ming Dynasty in this situation. The Yuan Dynasty is always going to be very powerful for that extra movement speed. But when you've got walls on the side of the map like this, where you're just kind of blocking off everything and you're just fighting down the middle, it can make sense just to go straight into a whole bunch of... or just to go into Ming Dynasty and just really try and ram it down the middle. But hand cannon is going to start moving up. A lot of horsemen now going to start coming through. I'd be tempted to take my own walls in this situation so that you're not going to get hit by the horsemen and you've got that extra range and extra damage reduction. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, we did hear those horsemen go down. Spears and Palace Guard's going to catch it. Plenty of units rushing in to defend at the front. Hand cannoneer is going to be the last line of defense here. More cover and get rallied through. He's going to lose one in the fight, and we can see those hand cannoneers are finally going to move on top. Keep in mind, he's got the extra bonus damage coming through from the Great Wall Gatehouse. So it is all units standing on walls gain 25% extra range damage. So you want to try and take advantage of that as the Chinese. You've also got that bonus range coming through. So hand cannoneers are doing 6.5 tiles. Do they only get one range bonus, the hand cannoneers on walls? That's a bit of a scam. Didn't it used to be 2? Did they really nerf it that much? Ain't no way. Ain't no way, man. Come on, really? That's what you're gonna nerf? You're gonna nerf that? Ain't no way. I gotta read my patch notes. It's not so much I gotta read my patch notes, I gotta cache my patch notes a bit better. Because in my head, I'm like, oh, that was one patch ago, but in reality, it was like, bro, that was fixed 7 years ago. Like, before the game was out, they fixed that bug. So, well, okay, sorry. It's a UE5 bug. This isn't, I don't even think, this is not built in UE5. You see what I see? Do you see what I see? Fire Lancers getting upgraded to elite. Now, when it comes to Fire Lancers and possible routes, this is what I was talking about when it comes to, like, Ming Dynasty, right? Ming Dynasty could actually be big here because your enemy has shut down every route, right? Like, where does Yuan Dynasty matter here? Siege Workshop? Battering Ram? Whole bunch of Palace Guards through to the backside? Maybe. Siege Workshop? Battering Ram? Palace Guards through to the back? Maybe. Could be an option for you, but to me, I mean, your enemy just wants to play heads up. That's what Demu wants to do. He just wants to play 100% in the face. Hand cannoneers. 5 tiles of range compared to the normal 4, so I suspect, well, that was significant and recent, that nerf. You know, there's going to be a comment that's like, Drongo, check Season 5 patch notes, and it's literally listed in there. Bro, I've played plenty since Season 5. It wasn't Season 5. I would know that. Remember when I was doing the FFA videos and we got a whole bunch of longbows and we stuck them on walls? And then we got the Wingard Rangers and we put them on walls? They had like 11 range. Pepper Ridge Farm remembers. All right, well, at this stage of the game, Demu's position is objectively better. I don't know whether it's the position or whether it's the composition. Come on, that was good. Great Wall Gatehouse has gone down. Culverin. 10.5 tiles of range. Against the Great Wall Gatehouse, which had 10 tiles of range. Oh. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it. Today I learned. Today I learned. All right, well. Demu with the first of the Mangonels making their way through. 4 burst attacks. He's already got adjustable crossbars in. And we see Demu now starting to work his magic towards this south side. The central position has been compromised for our Chinese player. He's starting to build up a decent amount of units to spear away. Okay. Right, this is the correct call. I agree with this 100%. Now, how much tax are we talking here? 475, 506, 390. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's like 1,500 gold just sitting there untaxed, uncollected. All right, well. Decent comp so far from our Chinese player. Distinct lack of Nest of Bees, though. And now Demu beginning to push through. Hand cannoneers. Culverin and Mangonels working in unison to take out that front line. Mango still gets some damage off on that back as well. Hand cannoneers have got plenty of health. A little bit of extra serpentine powder. Elite horsemen make their way to the front. And more units rally in. Keep in mind he's got this close proximity of reinforcements. All of these units, all of these buildings picking up plenty of attacks as well. Beautiful little spot here, and the horsemen are going to be enough to push him back. The Ming Dynasty's online, which means extra health for everybody. Extra health on the palace guards, on the horsemen, on the hand cannoneers. Everything's got extra health. It's like 15% if I remember correctly, which works out to be quite a bit. You do lose that Yuan Dynasty bonus though, so it means your units aren't going to be moving as quickly. Keep over towards this east side is still alive. Oh, it sucks to be a trebuchet, doesn't it? It sucks to be a trebuchet. I would have loved to have gone into bombards a bit earlier, and you can see him actually throwing stone walls up here to try and delay, but we know the truth up against the trebuchet. The stone walls mean nothing. Actually, I think he hit the stone wall in the front. The stone wall actually blocked the shot on the treb. Emergency repairs on this town center are going to be coming through shortly. If he can get it up in time, you can see more vills are going to be brought. He's got about 300 health on him. If he can get the town center up in time, everybody's been brought to the fore. Plenty of resources in the bank. He's going to tee off once again. Down to 800, 900, 500. Emergency repairs about to arrive. There it is. He pops the button. And now we head to the races, baby. Meanwhile, over towards that west side, the battle still continues. The Tramps still rain down fire, but look at that keep. He's back up to a healthy 60%, baby. Oh, he'll be full health in a minute, but keep in mind, you are draining your stone very quickly. It's a band-aid for the problem. The truth is you're going to need to tackle these Trebs sooner rather than later. But perhaps sooner is coming right now, as more and more cavalry make their way through for Demu in the center. Nice little pocket of mangoes back here. He's got 7 mangoes off the top rope. Looks like he does a bit of damage to the front and the back line. Horsemen managed to eat them all alive, though. Ming Dynasty definitely getting some dividends in right now. Plenty of health on these horsemen as they survive through the enemy rampage. The back line has been taken out. Very well played by our Chinese player. And the Trebs still trebbing. 200 health, 300 health. It's going down. I'm yelling timber. We finally took it out. And the Trebs immediately move up. They look for their next victim. And here you go. Demu in a little bit of trouble as the Chinese push back. This is what we were talking about earlier. The fact that the Chinese have made it through the hardest part. Now they're going to have to get to the other side. And it's about converting this population space that you've got into tangible units that mean something, that can sort of be translated over to something useful on the battlefield. Because Trebs is not it, baby. Trebs is not it. It is, it's going to be tough to do this with 5 Trebs. I mean, he's making waves, that is for sure. He's only on 118 pop as well. Plenty of resources in the bank, so who knows? Maybe the Trebs are it. Fire Lancers now going to start coming out. You can see the Fire Lancers, they've got just a little bit, it's a horseman, but they've got a firework attached to the end of their lance. That's the difference. Now breaks through in the center. He says we're going for a bit of a run. Fire Lancers, no horsemen. Spot out the Mangonel. They're going to go for it. Demu on the defense. 195 versus 194 pop here. Slowly, these Mangos able to take out the hand cannoneers on the back line. Keep in mind, they're getting so many damn bonuses here. A little bit of extra movement speed, a little bit of extra attack. Though they are the enemy's wall, so I don't know whether he gets the bonuses. Meanwhile, he is going to have to fall back. That Mangonel is going to be too much for him. And Demu, now with 3 Mangos out, continues to focus on the Mangonel train. We see he's got 2 more in queue. Stonewall to the front, going to be secured. The Treb's still doing work behind it. He's just looking for a target, and he finds exactly what he's looking for. Meanwhile, how's our trading economy doing? We're up to 27 traders. Gee whiz. That's an impressive economy. I love the fact that he went into traders so early. This was a very early trade. Normally, you don't see players go for that trading economy until it's too late. But the timing here from our Chinese player was quite impressive. Hold on. Hold on. Did you just see what I see? Has he got... Oh, he's got it. He's got the... He's got geometry. He's got the bonus damage. As long as you can actually make the hit. Looks like he wasn't going for it. I don't know how much health this Mangonel was sitting on, but that looked good. Okay, Fire Lancers make their way through. How much damage is he going to be able to do? Now, one of the big things that I think is going to be advantageous to the Chinese here is opening up new fronts. So, Siege Workshop, 2 stables, and just rally units here. You want to make battering rams and Fire Lancers, that's it. You can do Palace Guards as well. And you want to do the same thing on this side. And, like, look at the disruption that you could have behind here as trade now starts to come through. You're going to be able to do huge disruption. And we now start to see, behind the scenes, Fire Lancers working their magic. Meanwhile, on this front, Trebs are just kind of sitting by idly. You can see he's actually working down this Mango. Manages to do a decent job. Mango back in towards this side. Trebs actually missing out one of those boulders. It can be hard to hit those little Mangos. They're not the biggest of target when you compare it to something like a keep. But hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. We got the Treb tech. So he picked up geometry. He does a bit of extra damage. But keep in mind, these aren't even English Trebs. These are just normal Trebs. But he's working down the Mangos. What are you going to do? Okay, riddle me this. When Demu gets to like 8 Mangos and just pushes you, how are you going to act? Like, the Trebs fire so slowly, dude. They fire once every 11 seconds, man. If you've got 7 Trebs, that's going to take you more than 77 seconds to take down all the Mangos. Now, that's assuming you don't have AoE damage, and that's also assuming the Trebs hit their targets. But still, you guys get the idea. It's not going to be a quick time. Oh no. Oh, it's always so dangerous coming through gates like that. Trebs fire off, they tee off. They're going for the TC instead. Plenty of units making their way up towards the Mangoes on the backside. Nice little concave hero units for Demu. Couple of yellow leggings we see if the Lanch Connects have gone past. And now, a whole bunch of gold still in the bank here for our Chinese player. And this is all that trade coming through. He's got plenty of trade. He has just floated gold at this point. I'm starting to think like maybe you should be switching your unit type here. I feel like Nesta B should have come in a long time ago. Really, the Nesta B is quite impressive in the late game. And with this much gold, there's no excuse not to be doing it. I'd be going like Nesta B Palace Guard hand cannon here. I don't know what else do you need in life? That's got to be it. But I'm going to tell you now, I'm very impressed with this Chinese player and the way that he's managed to come back in this game, despite opening 2 TC Song Dynasty. Very impressed. Because I feel like a lot of lesser players wouldn't have been able to hold it as effectively as he did. But now we start to see him making movements towards the top side. Fire, no, Horse Lancers. Horse Lancers making a connection on the back. 1 Mango down, 2 Mangoes down, 3 Mangoes down. Count them with me, boys. We're Dracula today. 4. 5. No. Hold your 5s. We didn't get to 5. There's the 5. There's number 6. He takes them all out. Good night, sweet prince. No Mangoes in queue. No Mangoes on the field. We are real. We are real gamers at this point. Let's ride on board with Demu as the battering rams are going to start coming out. Very safe towards these flanks. And I don't know if he can really keep fighting man-to-man in the middle here. We see a horseman on the backside. Men-at-arms are going to come forward and look to try and take them out. But, geez Louise, this is an impressive clinic that we are witnessing right now from our Chinese friend. Huge army, though. A lot of resources in the bank for him still. Plenty of units in queue. Let's check in on that top side. Demu here. 77 gold on each of these traders. How many traders are we actually talking? What's he got? He's on 32 active traders total. Meanwhile, his opponent on 32 as well. Wow, they're both on 32 traders. It's a good number of traders to have. It's a good number of traders to have. We don't discriminate when it comes to odd numbers and odd numbers of traders. Gotta be careful here. He's pushing it a little bit too far. There's no front line here to defend him. Hand Cannoneer is gonna have to fall back. Mango's getting some good shots in. He's able to take out the Siege Workshop. Trebs might need to think about hitting the Mangoes instead. Hand Cannoneer numbers have fallen a little bit. Chinese players down to 25 at the moment. Front line comes through. He needs to rally in more reinforcements. He's got plenty in the... No, he doesn't. He doesn't have plenty in the queue. A little bit of a mistake right here. Now he's finally picked it up. Mango gets some shots at the back. Trebs are going to look to try and focus down these Mangoes from the backside. Needs to right-click these Mangoes. Trebs, all the units have fallen. Demu's army looking good. Reinforcements kind of big right now for him. Repairs coming through on this Stonewall Gate ever so slowly. Look how slow it is. It's like 20 every... Actually, that's pretty quick. That's like 1,000 every 20 seconds. Somewhere in that. Maybe not that quick. Maybe like 1,000 every 30 seconds. We'll give it 1,200 every 30 seconds. Hand Cannoneer mass is still retained. As long as you've still got that Hand Cannoneer mass, I think you're okay. And the Mangoes have something to say about that. Oh my lord. Just as we were saying that, I think he's lost about 30% of the Hand Cannoneer mass. It continues to fall. He's down to 11 Hand Cannoneers now. He's only got 3 in queue, so he's lost a lot of that damage on the back line. The Mangoes found a way to come through. And there's plenty more Mangoes on the way for Demu. Look at this. Siege Workshop back here. I don't know how many he's got. 1, 2, 3, 4. They all pop instantly. And we are back. I tell you what, these Mangoes are just... You know, I've said it before. I'll say it again. For a player against the Mangoes, you make one mistake, and that's just it. For a player with the Mangoes, you just keep throwing them at the wall. Eventually, that spaghetti is going to stick. Treb's missing on these Mangoes. He's going to have to kite backwards. He's lost a lot of mass. He's lost a lot of mass. He's down to 170 pop. Where are the Nesta Bees? There's the Nesta Bees. He's put them in queue. He finally put them in queue. Gosh, it took so long. And they're all in the single one Siege Workshop. Is he supervising? I think he's supervising. Yeah, one every 12 seconds. A decent number. Going to come out now. He's got the upgrades. Has he got all of the upgrades? Yeah, he's got all the relevant upgrades right now for him. Treb's looking to take out the Mangoes on the back. One going to go down here. Let's see if he can pick up another one. He misses the shot. You can see how difficult it is. Nesta B's finally going to arrive. Looks to pepper down that front of the Angus. Finds good coverage. Hand Cannoneer numbers for Demu with 24 now. Both players playing into that Hand Cannoneer mass, and the closer you get to the enemy base, the harder it gets as you push in his face. Oh, Demu finding out the hard way that those Chinese numbers are quite decent. Demu, look at the resources in the bank here. Not a lot of resources, less than 5k. Compare that to his opponent and a very similar amount of resources here. A lot of gold from that trade. But now we start to see the Nesta B numbers rising. He loses out on a couple of them. He's fighting into the concave. The Mango's at the back here, going to get caught out by these melee units. Not a whole lot of them. But once again, Demu going to bypass that front line and look straight to go for the back. Exactly what he needs to do. And now trying his best to reconfigure the army, re-establish himself on the front, and push through. He wants to hit a 200 out of 200 here. You can see he's waiting for these reinforcements to come through. He's not even waiting. He's just going to go straight down the middle, exactly what he needs to do. Cannon emplacement on the keep now. You want to try and fight under this keep. We need to see more Nesta Bs arriving. I'd be tempted to get some in from the clock tower as well, just to back you up. Not a lot of wood. Where's he getting wood from right now? There's still plenty of wood out here to be had, so you got no excuses when it comes to it. 4.2k food a minute, though. Tell you what, he is absolutely pumping right now. Knobs to the back. Nesta Bs! Oh, no! The Mangonels just took out all the hand cannoneers! Oh, it was terrible! Huge shot from the back line. Demu off the top rope, demonstrating the strength of the Mangonel. You will never see a more pivotal moment in any Age of Empires 4 games. The Mangonels off the top rope just clean it out completely. The back line gone, and good game gets called. How disheartening for our Chinese player. Ladies and gentlemen, go check him out. Links in the description. Go watch Demu, and I'll catch you in the next one. What a finish. Wow.